You want to know the secret of what high DPS units can do? And when I say high DPS, I mean these high damage output units. They just freaking kill things. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. We're at the end of another week, but we're just starting another session of Phobies. So let's jump in. Hope everybody's doing well. I am currently trying not to melt. It is, let's see. According to this, it says it's a mere 56% humidity, and I don't believe that for a second. I feel like this thing has to be wrong. This thing has to be wrong. Maybe it's just the position because I had the fans directly blowing on it because I am, like, dying. It's bad. It's bad. I'm absolutely cooking. But we're going to be jumping into some Phobies. We're going to be playing a bunch of games tonight. We're going to try and review some games because there is a backlog. Got to get those games done. Got to be talking about those games, especially before they fall off people's profiles. And we'll be jumping in. I'm not... What? How is that possible, Cowses? That's a new one. That's a new one. But Phobies is... I mean, they label it as a card game, but really it's a tactics strategy game. Think XCOM with little monsters instead of, you know, soldiers and aliens. Except that there's no variance. Like, there's no that's XCOM baby moment. That sort of thing. Wake up at 6:30 in the morning, watch your stream. Feels like when I was a kid watching my favorite cartoon. Nice, Honda. Got that big bowl of cereal ready to go. Got your... I mean, for me, feety pajamas would be awful right now. Like, I would melt. It's chess with cool little dudes? Exactly. Digital little dudes. I'm telling you, I really hope, I sincerely hope that there are going to be Phobies plushies and other swag, stuff like that. So, we're jumping into Floor is Lava. Floor is Lava for our first game of the evening. So we're going to go with our usual opener here. Whoop. And by usual opener, I mean putting the characters in the right place where I want them. So we're taking the 2 points here aggressively so that we can pressure. Cute little dude like Blinky. Onda, you love some Blinky, which is hilarious to me. We're also going to go... We're going to modify our opener a bit, and that is we're going to go Contortio. So we're going to go 1-1-1 right off the bat. And Stinky. But for those of you that are new out there, so Phobies here, as mentioned, is a strategic tactical game. These are our Phobies. There's a whole bunch of other ones that we're going to, well, maybe not all of these, but we're going to see some of them as the game goes on. There are different tile sets here, so if you're familiar with tactical games, it's not there are elevations, so these obstacles have higher elevation. Only certain things can get on top of them. There's, you know, as you can see here, lava. There's other stuff that will interact on the board. The goal is to reduce our opponent's heart here to 0 or eliminate all of their Phobies and all of their remaining keys. So you start with, they start with 25, we start with 24 because we went first. That's pretty much it. These X's that you see here are panic points. If you control them and turn them to your team's color, they will then deal damage if you have more than your opponent at the end of each turn. You can undo, seems like a good game. Yes, you can undo. The system for this game is... trying to think of basically the non-technical way to explain it. But basically, you commit the moves to the server. It's even in arena mode, which we're playing right now, it is asynchronous. What do I mean by that? It means that the moves can be done independent of each player. That's why you're able to undo a move. Because nothing, until you hit end turn, is committed to the server and sent to the other player. So we're playing Arena, which is real time, but there's an async mode, which means that you can do it either or. Like, you could play the game over a course of days or weeks, or, if everybody's being very slow, months, hypothetically. Do you think they should nerf Stabby? We talked about that before, Alpaca. I think there needs to be one called Stinky. Actually, I'm kind of surprised that there is not a Phobie called Stinky, because that does sound very Phobies. But to the Stabby question, I think it kind of does need to be nerfed. Not massively so. Not like an enormous amount. But I think that it probably needs it. So we're trying to be very aggressive here. I don't know that this is necessarily what we want to do. So this can come down and then this will hit it, or they could pop out a jar. They're going to be able to clear out our stuff very easily and cleanly. So what we're going to do is go here. I don't know that we necessarily want this. This AWOL's only 300 health. We're going to bank the other key, and we'll see how we do. 4:30 a.m. stream right as I'm about to go to sleep. Oh, no, sorry, Saxy. Yeah, this is my normal streaming slot, but if you want to catch the action, it will be up on YouTube later. I always upload them. Right now, I have kind of a backlog as I'm going through and editing games and stuff like that, but it will end up on YouTube. Wait, so you can troll and ditch leaving a game in limbo? It won't quite do that, Cow. So what will happen is, say you're playing an async game. Eventually, if your opponent times out, aka they don't respond after a certain amount of time, you will get an automatic win. And then all the consequences, resources, and differentiation, stuff like that. So you can't just hose your opponent. But since you can queue up a whole bunch of async games, you could have, I think the limit right now is like 50 games or something like that. I forget what it is. They did lower it because originally people were able to have like 200 games or something absurd. But bottom line is that you can queue up a bunch of other games and not, like, get locked out of it. Yeah, there is some trolling in Arena, but that isn't very common. Like, let's face it, that's not a thing that you typically have to be concerned with. We're backing up because if they come to any of these points, we can now threaten nailing them, regardless of the point. I think we bank here for Pterodactyl or something. I don't think we really need to reinforce. They have to come after us. There's an argument to make something so, like, we move the cassowary, say, here. Which I think we want to do anyway. They can't reach it. Well, they could snowball. Hypothetically, they could move the jar up and snowball, but I don't think there's any way they kill the cassowary. And the cassowary effectively has the same movement range here, so we're fine. Yeah, that's a problem, Doc. That's a problem, Doc. Let me pop out chat, because there's a lot of people talking tonight. Play multiple async games at 47 yesterday. I mean, I just queued up a bunch this week, but I couldn't... I don't think I'd be able to track that many. I mean, for async, it's, you know, just log in. Well, what's the best move on this turn? But there's something for me personally that gets lost if I disconnect mentally from the game I'm playing for a while. I don't really know how to articulate it beyond that. But basically, if I queue up an async game and then I don't look at it for like a day, I completely forget everything about what the board state was. And even though it shows you, obviously, and you have all the time to do whatever you want, it's still weird to me. So, alright, so we're probably just going to leap on this guy and walk away. Even though it's going to pull us. So the reason is we don't want to just die. Now, again, they could have a jar. Or a jar. Clicked on jar and said the wrong thing. They could have a snowball. Which would be kind of bad. Snowball would be pretty bad. This will chase away some of their stuff. But do we want to do that? I mean, we want to chase it away. But maybe we go 6-1 and try and recap one of these instead. We're going to get this online. I kind of just want to get it online. Now, this is in range of the Pterodactyl. They'll get one hit and then shoo it away. I don't think taking this aggressively... Yeah, this was probably bad positioning. We should have put it, like, here. Or moved it to here. There was no real need to be here. So we're just taking damage for no reason. Yeah, that's exactly it, Doc. Like, you have so many games running, or if you have a ton of games running, you just kind of forget where you are, so to speak. Sure, if you can keep track of multiple things going on, and the ability to translate to this, especially with time given, it isn't that big of a deal, but it is something that, it's just not a way that I typically engage with games, personally. Like, it's not my kind of thing. So this will get hit for 12. Alright, we don't want to do that, necessarily. And we'll bank from here. So they have 7 keys. We're going to see something mean and nasty come out. It's just a question of what. Losing the cassowary here probably isn't great. So we're being very aggressive about this. And I don't know that it was worth it in this particular game. Like, we haven't done as much damage to them as I would have liked. Because our opponent did appropriately respond and try and recap points. I treat it more like chess training books where they're like, here's the board state. How do you get to checkmate next number of turns? Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, Doc. I think that's an appropriate way. Sort of like training grounds. That's exactly it. I treat async kind of, oh, well, I just want to wing it and try these openers and that sort of thing. Oh, yeah, what is the meaning of Latin words on the rank banners? Well, it's funny you ask, Onda, because I have a spreadsheet in the Discord that we're keeping track of what each of them mean. We have translations for them. There are a couple that are loose because, you know, Google Translate, so we're kind of inferring what some of these things are, but we can talk about them in between. I spent a lot of time simulating every possible situation, too much time, but it really works. I'm 100 points away from hitting Some of All Fears on level 17. Nice. Once I hit it, I'm not playing async anymore. Fair. Fair. So if we pop out a jar, they're going to probably go in with Murder Wing and snipe it. So we can't get this right now effectively. We just mispositioned 2 turns ago, and that's what's kind of hosing us right now. We will need some little stuff, because we can't interact with the board in the way we want right now. So they're going to have this point. There's not much we can do. I don't think the Flopsy was really what we want here. They have too many things to be able to recap the board, and they are, you know, if we take this one, it's too close to their vault. Maybe Onda? I'm not sure. You use the Crushmore. I honestly think he doesn't do much damage, isn't even that tanky. I have Hematic Gin Sting and Erratic 2 for comparison. I don't have a high enough level Crushmore in order to justify it right now. That's my biggest issue. My biggest issue is I just don't have the levels on it. Like, my Crushmore right now is level 3, which is kind of pathetic for this, so it's not, to me, not good enough yet. So no matter where we send this thing, it's going to die, and then they just walk their Flopsy back in, because we couldn't kill it. So we're going to get some other little guys online, and we'll build up. They still have 8 keys left, so again, something big and nasty could be out there. By the way, tier list when? Somebody in Discord keeps asking for one. Now that we've seen all the phobies, I can start mapping it out. I think someone in chat had suggested doing it by just key value, and I think that's a good way to break it up. So we'll do like a series of 9 videos, you know, all the 1s, all the 2s, all the 3s, etc., and then kind of go from there. And I think that's a reasonable way to handle it. Alright, so this is interesting, because this exposes it to Pterodactyl. 6 and 5 is 11 and 8. So they'll definitely be able to kill it. So we can't go for this right now. The reason we can't go for it is because if we go in, we will lose this thing. And by this thing, I mean the Pterodactyl. And we have way too much invested in order to risk that. We're actually not in a very good spot, truthfully. I think we're on the losing end of this. I mainly use Hevo for lobs, though. Yeah, if you have Hevo, I could see the value in it. Or the value in ignoring Crushmore. That makes sense. Stabby God tier. I mean, Stabby is real good. They said it couldn't be done. I registered for Fright Night too. Nice, Luffy. Which, by the way, if you're interested in playing in Fright Night, shout out to Luffy for bringing it up. There's still a few hours left to sign up. By the time this goes up on YouTube, you probably won't see it. It'll be a little too late. But you can sign up for Fright Night number 3. But Fright Night number 2 is up and live. We're ready to go anyway. Get a little Fright Night going there. Alright, so they down this. Are you going to pop out an 8 key? You pop out something small and just walk it on here. Really? Why? That doesn't make any sense to me. So we do that. We do this. They will effectively trade. I legitimately don't know why they didn't kill this. You have 8 keys. You're not maxed out on phobies. Like, what are you doing? What is happening? 4K. So these are our only 2 1s left, and I don't really like them, but I don't know that we have a whole hell of a lot of other options. So we're going to go with this on the assumption that we can sneak it down here. Now, realistically, this could come down in Meatball and Body Block, but I don't know if they're going to expose it. We really just need another body in order to assist us running around. This might deter them, because we could pop over the top and hit it with this, and they seem to be playing somewhat defensively. I don't know, this all seems weird. I don't know why they did this. Being able to heal poison so easily kind of nullifies Void Phobie's weakness. It does, Alpaca. We were talking about that the other night. Looks like there's more people joining Fright Night 2. Feels happy about it. Good luck to those joining. Yeah, there's definitely more people than Fright Night number 1, so that was awesome. It's really exciting. I was going to talk about that later, but since we're on topic. So they're under 2K. They went Alleygator. I think we just dive for their heart. The problem is I truthfully don't think we get there. Because now they've equalized the panic points. They can block with Gesundheit. I think they've got us, chat. So they could hit it for 12. No. 12, 15. And walk it over. Like, they can kill this if we allow it into range. I don't think we can win this, chat, truthfully. I think they've got us. Yeah, definitely, Alpaca. I can definitely talk about it. Quick maps. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they've got us, because, like, even if they leave the heart exposed, which I expect them not to, they could just body block with even Contortio, and then we can't target the heart, because we're not going to reclaim enough points in order to push more damage. Now, they're playing defensively here by backing off. I don't think that's what you want to do. Game. Because now they're not in position to kill our pterodactyl. Now we can actually kill them. So if they waste time killing our murder wing, we kill them with the other stuff, but I don't know that they have enough damage here. Granted, we're not doing damage with our panic points because they've equalized it, but this is our only out. We have to try and push. This is a game? Yeah, this is going to decide it one way or the other, right? What do they got? One way or the other, this game's about to end. GG, folks. No way they killed the dactyl? Yeah. So this was a game that our opponent had in the bag, but I honestly... First of all, GG. GG. But, post-game analysis, our opponent punted that game. Why did they punt that game? Well, we punted it first. I punted it first. I made the mistakes, not chat. Chat's always right. I made mistakes. Why? Because I was trying to be hyper aggressive. I was taking the points. I was throwing keys away to put pressure on their heart, but we weren't really putting that much pressure on them. Our opponent on at least 2 turns, both that next to last turn and a couple turns before that, or a few turns before that, spent time not actually pressuring us. They allowed us to invade, and they didn't have to. If they positioned more aggressively, I think they lock us out because we wouldn't have been able to get to the heart in a healthy state. Things would have been damaged or already dead. So therefore, if they had done that, they win this game barely. Like, they would have only had a few life left. But it's similar to, I think I was talking about on the last stream, or stream before that, where I made the analogy to the Transformers TCG. Some of the ways these lines play out, that is the, if you do the right way, it's like, yes, the game was so close, but it wasn't actually close. One of the players would never have made it. Like, they never would. It looked close because they probably would have survived with, say, you know, like, we can go back into the game and look at it. But, like, they would have survived with 300-400 health, 500 health on their heart, which is like, oh man, that was a close game. And it was, but we never should have been there. Leaving an exposed heart like that is something I do. Yeah, I've lost a bunch of games like that to people where they just said, you know what? I'm going to go for it. So, as mentioned, we're playing hyper-aggressive in this game. You know, by invading with the cassowary. We obviously lost the early 1 keys, but I don't really care about that. The cassowary was more of a big deal. So this turn that's coming up, this one, I think, is the turn. So we pushed a bunch of damage on them. And here's the thing. We probably panicked our opponent because they're below half. We have 5 of the 6 panic points. But they reclaim a bunch of them. So they do some damage here. I'm letting it play out because I want to get to a particular board state. So they make the right play, pull their Flopsy onto the panic point. They kill this. But at the end of this turn, they just let it go. For no reason. So imagine if they killed this thing. Keep that in mind as we move forward, if this thing was dead. Our Flopsy. They would have had something else already on the board. Admittedly, it probably would have died, but it could be just a 1 key, and that's fine. But we wouldn't have been able to kill their Flopsy, and we wouldn't have been able to reclaim this point. So now they take a whole bunch, what is it, like another 900 damage? 940 damage, when they could have been taking less, because they would have had this point, this top point, and had the bottom point. Five phobies in play, fair. That's fair. Did I miscount? I thought I called that out in the game that they were only at 4. It must have been on a different turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yes. So in this turn, they couldn't have done anything. In which case, I don't know that this setup is worth it then. I don't know. I value killing the Flopsy higher than I value killing the Eternal Knight. How could they have done this differently then? Because there was an Eternal Knight here this turn. They probably could have killed it with this and then lost the Gesundheit, killed this. I guess that's a weaker trade for them. But that plays into a different mistake then of not maxing out your phobie count, which we've also talked about, that you don't want to... You want to stay below the maximum threshold so that way you can adapt to these things. So the Alleygator I'm not a huge fan of, as I've mentioned on many occasions before, but this was this the other turn? So they reclaimed this one. There was another turn where I felt they could have been more aggressive and pushed us off, but they didn't. I mean, ultimately, we were able to squeak by for just enough, so GG. How would they have killed your Flopsy that turn? Well, they needed another phobie. They could have attacked differently. They'd probably have to give up the Eternal Knight, which pushes more damage, but I value the body more because the Flopsy requires things to come out of position. So that's the big issue for me. I think they needed at the end to also position things more in the south, like just stay even on panic points. You can give up 1 or 2 turns of 4 to 2, I think, depending on which turn we're talking about. Because remember, it's not a odd number of panic points, it's an even number of panic points on that. So as soon as I take one of theirs, instead of being like 3 to 2, it's immediately 4 to 2. So they needed to obviously defend their heart a little bit more and try and cut off that pterodactyl. But they pulled back on one of those turns, and I'd have to go back and find it, but we'll move on from there. Alley is solid. It's okay. It's okay. The problem is that I mentioned this before. It's a big dummy that punches good. Alleygator's a big dummy. Like, it doesn't do a whole lot. It's a bunch of stats, which sometimes, you know what? A lot of stats is what you need. But would you rather have a lot of stats or a lot, maybe slightly less stats, and then good abilities tacked on? Obviously, the correct answer is it depends, but for the most part, I generally do not go for just the big dummies. The exception has kind of been Fish Tank, because Fish Tank just, like, the amount of damage, because here's the hidden ability of high DPS units. You want to know the secret of what high DPS units can do? And when I say high DPS, I mean these high damage output units. They just freaking kill things. They just kill things, and that means that your opponent's phobie's dead, so it can't hurt you. Like, that's the hidden text on this, is like, I just punch things to death. Alleygator does not represent quite as much damage, even though it obviously could be tankier. There are scenarios where you'd rather have Alleygator, but most of the time I'd rather have other stuff. Fish Tank punch is good, so less dummy, more Rocky-ish. I mean, aren't those the same, Doc? It's not exactly like Rocky was a brain surgeon. ASMR stream. Everybody always says that about the beard. I do have the comb. Did I play on Phobopolis yet? Played a few matches on it. Didn't really understand how to play on the map. You know what, Izumi? Let's talk about that. But first, we're going to talk about Fright Night. So, for anybody who's interested in playing in Phobies Tournaments, there are a couple other content creators, such as Jelly Belly, who are running their own events. And I definitely shout them out because we casted with them not that long ago. And it was a lot of fun talking about their events. I'm running my own just because, not to like be competitive about it, I just want to offer other stuff. And I think this is a rising tide raises all ships. More people getting excited about events and tournaments means more people are excited about events and tournaments, and therefore increases the population in both. Plus, since it's an online setup, that means that you can, of course, play in multiple events. Now, specifically Fright Night. So Fright Night, sign-ups are going to end tonight for Fright Night number 2. It will kick off tomorrow morning Eastern, because that's where I am. So, -4 GMT, at least right now. Stupid daylight savings and stuff, but anyway. My structure is this. It's a set of Swiss rounds. I have to see how many final entrants we have before we decide if there's going to be a cut to top X. I'll explain that in a second. Here's how Swiss works. There's going to be X number of people signing up. Say there's 16. We will then play 4 rounds. You will get paired up against somebody in round 1. If you lose, you will then get paired in round 2 against somebody who went 0-1 and lost in round 1. If you won, you get paired against somebody who won. Round 3 happens. If you are 2-0, you'll face another 2-0. If you're a 1-1, you'll face a 1-1. If you're 0-2, you'll play an 0-2. Now, obviously, if there's an odd number in one of those brackets, you'll get paired up or paired down. There's only so much you can do. But the idea is that as you advance through the event, you are playing like record people. So if you're doing well, you're playing other people that are doing well. If you're doing poorly, you're playing other people that are doing poorly. It's also not a knockout, meaning that instead of like single elimination, kind of self-explanatory, or double elimination, also self-explanatory, you can, if you choose, you could drop if you want, but you will play however many rounds are set up at the beginning. If there is a cut, meaning we get enough people to justify it, what will happen is the top X, usually top 8 players, or top 4, some even number, will then go into single elimination playoff after that. Now, each round, each match, is comprised of a best 2 of 3, and there's some map bans. Right now, there's no phobie bans. You can join at any level. We're trying to keep it simple on that front. The map bans are the only complication, just to give people some control of, okay, my collection doesn't have any flyers, so I want to ban out these maps because I'm going to get creamed. Or I really want to force this strategy, so I'm going to ban out other maps, try and get this one to show up. that's basically it. So if you're interested in playing in some events, definitely jump into the Random Thoughts Discord. I don't like Phobopolis. It looks like on one side, if some of the players have more units that shoot through walls. Let's take a look at that map. What do we need to know about this map? So down here, it looks like we got 1, 2, 3. Wow, that looks terrible, but you're going to have to deal with my handwriting. So it looks like it's a 3 move down here, meaning you could pop out a Phobie and reclaim this point initially. We're talking from Blue's perspective here, right off the bat. Now, over here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're not likely to hit something as orange, I don't think. Like, that's not going to be something that... You're not going to be able to threaten this thing in, like, claiming this particular panic point initially. I don't expect you to. So if you go... This is probably 1, 2, probably 3. That 3 is not in the right spot. That's also not really in the right spot. I'm telling you, writing in paint is always the worst. But I'm assuming this is a 3 move here to claim that point. So you can get that on your first turn. So that's a safe one to take. Now, up at the top, so this is a double vault map. And it's basically the same scenario where you can't really threaten the 2. There's a lot of corridors here, so I could see Mr. Tramples possibly being very good. Yeah, we're trying to break it down right now. Having not played this map in a while, I'm not sure, but that's why I think it's worth taking a peek. Get a little chomp action. So I'm thinking Mr. Tramples could be good because you can push through. Now, the other thing to note for this map is it doesn't look like there's great invade staging areas. So, for example, this corridor here and going up this way, those look like all single tiles. So you might be able to get somebody here. There's also one where Droney can get, or this is also one where Droney can get to the center point on turn 1. Can they? So it's, say, this is 1, this is 2, this is probably 3, 4, 5, 6. Can they reach it? Is that 6 moves? I can't quite tell. That's one thing that I wish was better done. It's exactly 6 tiles. Okay, I'll take your word on it, DT. It's something that I wish was on, like the tiles on the map were better highlighted, because personally I find it difficult to see them sometimes. So Snowball can get there in 1 turn as well. Yes. So Snowball's another option. So that's something to keep in mind. Droney and Snowball can take this center point. Whoop. This center point can be taken by either of those 3-move phobies. You're not going to get the Rambolinas or things right off the bat, but notably also that could do it. You can throw a flying unit on the 4th tile on the bottom as the red player to threaten the pressure point and avoid them from getting it. So you're saying put a flyer here? I'm trying to do different shapes so we can differentiate it. So if you go first, like you're the blue player, you fly over with a murder wing, let's say. Not seeing the... yeah, it's rough, Alpaca. It's challenging. It even in-game, sometimes it throws me off. If I have to say there's a good map for a card like Jarg Cannon, any lobbers on this map should be at an advantage, but by the same token, their lane or area of effect is going to be limited, because, for example, like, if you go here, you're on this spot with, say, Unbearable. You're not hitting... You're not hitting here. You know, like, if you're lower, if you're here, you could hit this spot. But is that all that valuable? I don't know. like, yes, there's a lot of obstacles for a lobber to leverage, but I don't know how important that is. You can also block some path through Gravedigger or Mount Crushmore. That's exactly what I was about to bring up on that was moved to our construction brothers in Gravedigger and Crushmore. So you can lock off a huge amount of choke points. Like, there's a lot of choke points that could be eliminated here. So let me just unfortunately, I have to do this in paint, so there's no, I can't, like, I can't do layers and stuff. I mean, I could do it in Photoshop, but it's a little more challenging. Don't worry about it. It's a behind-the-scenes thing. But yeah, this is a choke point. This is a good choke point. I don't know why there we go. Here's a good choke point. Here's a good choke point. I mean, these are also choke points, obviously here and here. These are choke points. These might be valuable. So if you can get a Gravedigger to come up this way, or Crushmore for that matter, and you come up this way and block this off, that prevents your opponent from just coming in through here and forces them through this particular choke point. Is that all that valuable? I don't know. Probably getting a Gravedigger onto this center point and then locking this off would be really good. Because then your opponent has to fight through it. And just the travel distance of going all the way up here and then trying to get there is going to be problematic. You know, obviously they could just burn it down. They could have their own Gravedigger or whatever. But if they don't already have it in play or they're not already set up, that could buy you a couple turns. And these we're going to erase some of this. So the center point, I think, is the big thing, obviously. This is an asymmetrical panic point map. There's an odd number. So if we assume that these pocket ones are roughly unassailable or difficult to attack, then it's probably, you know, fighting over the center is going to be the big thing, so getting this blocked off could be big. The other piece is these might not be that unassailable because you can come in and get this, or you could straight line it to here, and then your opponent has to pull forces back or reinforce this way. It's kind of tough. Could be kind of tough. How valuable is start with Spud on turn 1? Well, let's see. Where would you start Spud? I'm going to start pulling some of the stuff off. So Spud goes either 1 here, which means they guard this panic point, which is okay. I think you probably, as the first player, you either want to send Murder Wing here or Maggie or Droney, something that flies to just get to it right now, because your opponent can't threaten it from here. So I don't think you want Spud on this map, at least right now, for this part of the opener. Now, you're going to start with 5 keys, so you can't go Spud and Murder Wing. You could do Spud Maggie, Spud Droney, something like that. This is probably, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 to get here. We said it was 3 before, but it might be 4. I'm not quite sure how many tiles this is. Maybe it's only 3. So then Spud is here. I don't know. You could run Spud this way and try and defend this point. So you go Droney here or Maggie here and then Spud up here. Just play 8 lobbers. What's the problem? Honestly, Luffy, I don't know how important I mean, lobbers are going to be important. I have a hard time saying lobbers aren't going to be good here, but I don't know how much of a difference they're going to make. Because the thing is say you're, like, let's undo some of this. Say you're assaulting this panic point as the blue player, like you're coming in from here. If you set up a whatever range character on that spot, they can hit this point. Your opponent can then come back through here or hit from this spot or hit from here. Those are the 3 angles. We're assuming that a lot of the traffic is going to be in this area. And then it depends on what they can reinforce with. Like, you might be okay with range stuff and then leveraging the fact that everything's very corridor set up that they just may not be able to get to you. What about start with Gravedigger, opening obstacle next to the keyhole? Which one? Are you saying open this, or are you saying open this? They're incredible. There's no way it's not the best unit type, but they need support same as any. I don't think that they're bad on this map, but the lobbers that we have, obviously Spud that we mentioned, Hevos of varying varieties, Unbearable. I think Unbearable's probably not going to be great on this map. Crushmore is going to do double purpose here. I think Crushmore will probably be very strong. What are the lobbers? Help me out, chat. What other ones are we talking about? Jar. Jar should be great on this map. I think in my head I was picturing Unbearable, and that's why I was kind of not enthusiastic about the lobbers. I wonder how bad traps are going to be. Like, there are a bunch of points here where you could trap any of these corridors, and it's like, yeah, anything could be in here, and it's going to be bad. Oh, yeah, Chuck is going to be great. I keep forgetting about Chuck, but yeah, I agree with you, Mosca. Spud going up, threat their pocket pressure point, and use the flying to get yours seems good. Yeah, so an opening of Spud here, and then Maggie/Droney here seems pretty reasonable. Quagmire strong here, I already checked. Yeah, I could see Quagmire being really good because you can't get... Like, you're not likely to get 3+ hits unless somebody's invading. So, like, say you have Quagmire holding this point. They could ranged here. They could ranged here. I guess they could lob here. So, like, they could hit a melee and then have lobs set up, but you should see that coming a mile away. It feels like it's going to be really tough. Maybe this is an Alleygator map, too. Along the lines of Quagmire. We just were talking about it. I lost it. Yeah, the clustering here is going to be annoying. Klepto would be really good. I keep forgetting about Klepto. I don't know how. Klepto should be really strong on this map. Now, I personally don't have Spud, so what am I going to open? Probably Murder Wing. Pull Murder Wing 1, 2, 3, 4. So Murder Wing could get to the middle. If we go second, we probably go Murder Wing here, depending on whether we can take it. And then 1 cost, 2 cost, like here and here. So we claim the point right away and then get Cassowary to threaten this. Possibly. This is 1, 2, 3. Wait, can a jar? If you pop out a jar, can you target this? Because this should be 1 move. This is 2. This is 3. So if you put a jar here, like you just put it on the point, you can hit this twice. It's funny, Azumi, like the maps seem to come in clusters for me personally. You've done that, DT? Okay, then that does work. So that's something else to keep in mind, that when you're trying to take these pocket points, that if they have... It's similar to Rush Hour, where a jar can just pop out and hit something if you aggressively invade. That's something to keep in mind. That's something to keep in mind. What else can we ascertain from this? I don't know that there's going to be a whole lot of diving the hearts here. Like, trying to actually get on the heart coming around this way or this way just seems like it's going to be super challenging. Like, super duper challenging. Hevo 3.0, yeah, I mean, Hevo's going to... It's a big map, so Hevo's going to be there. Ray Chargel's pretty easy to threat jar here, I think. It's always, but yes. Flying units should be very good on this, just because of the increased mobility. It's not necessarily... So just to clarify, so whether it's a Murder Wing, it's a Pterodactyl, it's a Ray Chargels, it's whatever. It's more that you can stand on these. So instead of having to go 1, 2, 3, 4 to get here, you just go 1, 2, 3. Like, you can cut across some of these things and then end up in better positions. Even if you land on a targetable, you know, a pterodactyl on a point, you have the opportunity at least to traverse things otherwise, as opposed to having to take the scenic route. You know, you could cut across this way if your opponent retreats back here with a flyer to try and chase them down, as opposed to having to go all the way around and snake through or around the top. In the example I gave, it is still 4. That wasn't a great example because you're basically moving in the same direction here. It's more when you're doing this sort of stuff. Yeah, it just wasn't a good example, Alpaca. That's why I corrected the diagonal. But it gives you more options mobility-wise. Obviously. I mean, of course, flight gives you more options, but just reiterating it. What else? Boops probably are worthless. Like, is there any value in booping something? I have a hard time imagining it. Which is a little weird. You could maybe trap something with Smiley in a corridor. You know, like they have to stare down the Smiley. Smiley's also flying, so you could drop onto them. Brony's probably not good, since that's come up a lot lately, because there's a lot of ways to block LOS thanks to all the obstacles. Flesh Crawler hits through things. There's no healing spas, so are there poison options here? You know, like Russell would probably be super obnoxious, because Russell could be here, you know, and be basically protected, and then you just poison the whole map. The idea of Alleygator or Quagmire, I'm coming back to it, but it seems like it could be very good because you have to face those things down. So Spud plus Flyer turn 1 is a good go-to. I think that's probably true, Alpaca. As going first, specifically as the blue player. If you're going second, it'll depend what they open, because like a Spud coming to here, let's say, because that's what you would do on the top. So if you're going first, you'd send Spud to here, right? Because then it threatens them capping this point. And then you send your Flyer to here, because then you cap the point. You're up 1-0. But if you're going second, sending Spud here is irrelevant, because their Flyer's just going to pull back, possibly just out of range to here. And then if you try and take it with Spud, they light them up. If you go Flyer here and they open Spud, then their Spud is threatening your whatever. Oh, this is a 4-key opener? Then yes, that wouldn't work either. This is a 4-key opener. That's a good point, DT. So you can't go Spud Flyer because you won't have the 5. I still think sending a Flyer to down here is what you want to do. I don't see a point in trying to defend this, so if we assume this is, what, 1, 2... If we say this is, well, whether it's 3 or 4 doesn't matter. You can cap this point, and you can cap this bottom point on turn 1 as blue player. So I would probably go, like, Murderwing, Cat, cap these 2 points, and then either Cat or Murderwing swings into here. Depending on what they do, you might want to send the Cat here and then swing the Murderwing up. Because then you can, like, you're grouping your forces better, I think. Alternatively, you could, of course, pull the Murderwing back to here like we were talking about if there's the defensive Spud or something that comes in this way. I'm not sure. But, I don't know, Chad. We'll have to revisit it. We'll have to come back to it. Let me switch scenes again. What's up, Alpaca? You seem very upset about something. I don't know what it's referring to. There was a guy with a lizard on a leash in the park? That's actually pretty cool. What kind of lizard was it? I assume it was an iguana, right? Because otherwise, it probably wouldn't have been a big enough animal to justify it, right? Did it look like a dragon without wings? It was probably an iguana. Speaking of, I pulled K9000, now I have 3 out of the 4 dogs in the game. Nice, DT. So, it's K9000, Snowball, Cerberus. This is a good trivia question. What's the fourth dog phobie? Yeah, a lot of animals do that, Onda. A lot of animals do that. Oh, fetch, yeah. It's not an iguana. Now I'm curious, Alpaca. You gotta see if they come back. That's actually pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Alright, we're jumping into a game. We're on the same map again, and we're going first. Honestly, I don't like going second on this map. After this game, we might do a game review. Like I said, we got to get those in. We did spend some time doing that strategy breakdown earlier, so a little off schedule, but that's okay. I don't like going second ever. I kind of like it, depending on the map. Excuse me. Hiccups. I don't know that off the top of my head, Alpaca. I'll have to Google that and see. Always a dangerous proposition, or potentially dangerous proposition, right? The game won't let you be player 1 anymore. Alright, so our opponent is starting out similarly to our last one. They're going Maggie, though. So let's see if they treat this the same way. We're going to try and do the same thing. Normally, I honestly go 1-1 instead of 1-1-1 on this map. And I end up banking to 4 and then kind of going from there. But I'm trying something different. Player 2 on Scoposium? You have my condolences, DT. That sound... I just don't like Scoposium. Scoposium? I don't actually know how you pronounce that. I'll be honest. I will admit it. Oh, somebody's got to remind me to talk about the league sayings at some point later. So this is a little awkward. It's a little awkward. We'll be able to kill Maggie, but we still maintain a panic point advantage, which I guess is okay for now. So we're going to kill Maggie with a jar. Because now we're in position to actually get this. Move this here. So they can't hit this unless they bring jar in range. This will also let us recap this point. So again, we're just trying to pressure them as much as we can. I'd love to bank here so that we can get something big like Pterodactyl online. Pterodactyl's great for invading. Uh-oh. 58 messages. Who? Oh, Alpaca, no. Not like this. Yeah, you can't post the link. The bot will eat it. The bot will eat it. There's only a few allow listed links. It's just one of those things, since I'm a small streamer, it's easier to just block everything and go, sorry, kind of thing. 1, 2, 3. So they can hit it from here, plus they could pop something out. We're actually going to keep this here. The reason being is I think we're going to have to trade it for the newly dead. So we'll kill it with the jar, and then we'll, actually, we can't kill it with the jar. Ugh. That's a little awkward. Go here and hit it. So we can't straight up kill it with the jar. We're going to have to back off the stabby, but that's okay. We're going to bank. They also bank to 5, so I'm a little concerned about what's coming out. Newly dead, so good. On this map, I think they're real good. Because you can just do this. Like, this is not a big ask to get this thing on the point, right? Like, it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to cap that point with a newly dead and just get it into the mix. Some maps, it takes an eternity, and that's why it's challenging. We should have moved that back last turn. So that gives us our panic point advantage again. We could go erratic and start walking it up. I think we needed to hit it with this twice. I don't want to undo it. We could get the erratic and start walking it up. The reason being is that this thing's going to be just a pain in the nuts to actually dislodge. I don't really like doing this. I'm not a fan of erratic on this map, and as we saw in the last game, erratic is not going to do great. One movement, though, but they're decent. Well, I mean, it's got to have a little bit of balance, right? Imagine if Newly Dead had 2 movement. That would be absolutely busted. It would completely invalidate the Jackalopes, right? Even if you lowered their stats, it's one of those phobies that the stats are kind of irrelevant. You just want a 1 key that forces movement out of your opponent. Like, that's what they do. So we absolutely want to bank as much as we can. Game. So we'll get hit. How is this going to work? So they can come in and hit any of these. I think we wait a little bit. We unfortunately are not pressuring their heart any longer, but there's no real way for us to do that. There would be 4 keys with good movement. I'd agree, yeah. Just imagine Cerberus 2-tile move punch. Wait, what? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to balance a phobia. It's not just the hit points or the damage. It's the abilities, it's the movement, I mean, flying is an ability, but other parts of the mobility. There's a lot of different factors. One, two, three. So they can't hit this, and if this splashes, I don't think they can kill this turn. That's the main reason I'm doing this. We're doing this to pressure them. They may be able to kill this. It's unlikely this turn, but it's possible. Do I have Muffin Top, Jenna? No, I do not. It is something that I want to add to the collection. Muffin Top, I think, presents a really useful tool in your Phobies army. Because it's such a cheap heal, and it doesn't invalidate things, like, entirely, but it's as close to invalidating things as you can probably get, right? I think a 1-key flying phobie might be problematic. It would have to do, like, literally 0 damage. For example, look at Droney. Granted, it has 3 movement, but at the same time, think about how much Droney does. And how little damage output it has. Like, realistically. So they're going to take another 470 this turn. Like, I don't know that we can dive. We're getting ready to do the same thing we did last time. We're getting ready. No Baba Haha in a few last live streams. It's true, Honda. It's true. No Baba Haha as of late. Which, I mean, I'm not going to complain about. For anybody who's not in on the joke, join the Random Thoughts Discord. ! Discord in the live stream or in the video description. If this goes up on YouTube, which hopefully it will. Oh no, not like this. What are you doing? Yeah, that was kind of funny. So So exposing this was clearly a mistake, right? Whoops. I got excited that we could get this into position, but this was just a mistake. Is this live going to be on YouTube later? Probably will, Alpaca. I edit them a little bit. Like, I chop out a bunch of stuff, but for the most part, they just go up as is. Like... I guess we're okay with this. We're still not pressuring them, but they're only down to, they're down to a mere 2 keys. If we can eliminate their erratic, we're probably in a good spot. I wanted to see the ranks logo thing with things written in Latin. So we can talk about that. I do have a spreadsheet in the Discord listing them all because a bunch of people were kind enough to put that together. And let me know what the ones were that I was missing because I couldn't remember a lot of them. And you can't see the other ranks. Don't cut that out. I'm thinking about doing, like, we can do a spoiler, a teaser, but I do want to do a separate video on it because I'm curious enough on my own, like, diving into the origin of some of these things to try and figure them out. So we're not in great shape because this is going to connect, like, the erratic's probably dead unless we can somehow kill their erratic and their sheep, which is just not going to happen, right? We might be able to body block, but realistically, this is not happening. This will be 540. 1040. This will live, but not by much. This will also live, but again, not by much. We still have the leap online, so we might be okay here. They're out of keys. We might be okay, chat. Till next time, then. Yeah, like I said, I do want to do a separate video on it, because I think it's cool, and I would love to talk to the devs and talk to them about, like, well, how did you come up with this? Why did you come up with this? That sort of thing. Alright, Alpaca, have a good night. Or day. Whatever, wherever it happens to be, or whatever it happens to be, where you are. Alright, so we should be in okay shape, he said, hopefully. In fact, we might get them this turn. No, we can't get them, I don't think. It'll be close, but we can't quite get them. I mean, this will... yeah, we should be fine. We're gonna take a ton of damage, but, you know. 10 PM, fair. Fair. Wait, what level is your cassowary? My cassowary is level 9. Level 9. It's a pretty good cassowary. What are the 4 dog phobies? Fetch, Cerberus, K9000, who's the other one? We said it earlier, Snowball, yeah. How can you forget Snowball? How can you forget good old Snowball? I was going to say the original good boy, but it's not. GG! We got another W, chat. We got another W. I kind of think of him as a wolf, but it still counts. True. I mean, that's fair. Hey, we actually got Let's Go Hunting here, so we could get some Contortio upgrades. Get some Contortio upgrades. We're going to have to try and force some Cyclops. I haven't used Cyclops in a lot. Fetch is a dog? Yeah, I think Fetch is supposed to be a dog. I think Fetch is supposed to be a dog. That's Cerberus. What is Fetch, 5? I mean, it's Fetch. It has the tongue lolling out the side of the mouth. I think it's supposed to be a dog. You don't really get that sense from the picture, but it's quadrupedal. The whole slobber and tongue hanging out thing, the name Fetch. I think it fits. Alright, chat, we're going to do a game review after we open this. If you want to get your games reviewed, you can head over to the Random Slots Discord, either !Discord in the live stream, or if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and check out the links in the description. You can check out other Random Slots content and comments as well, I guess, but you can join the Random Slots community and jump in. Sweet, we got a Crushmore level. That's actually really important. So we're going to look at this Gilbo win against Loki. The God of Mischief seems to have had a bad time, but it was a close win, so let's see how close it actually was. So here we go. We're zoning into a map that I think at this point has rotated out, and that is in Rush Hour. The bad guy in the blue trunks, starting up here in the top left corner, is Loki. And in the orange trunks, well, on the right-hand side, not really in the corner, is our hero Gilbo. Now, we have a Gravedigger and Bachelor opening from our blue player, which is very interesting. That is not a common one, but it blows up this particular obstacle, which allows greater access to this particular panic point in the north, which is a cool change of pace, cool change of flow. But Gilbo, in a very, I was going to say a Luffy-esque fashion, but it's not, it's aggressive, that's why I went with Luffy. But at the same time, Gilbo has been known because of the Stabby opener to now go for these flood-based strategies. Now, Stabby, is it going to do work on this map? We'll see. We get a flood of 2 1 keys and 2 2 keys. I like the Maggie. I don't, so here's one thing we'll point out. And I'm trying to take a different line in explaining some of these games. I think I'm circling back to wanting to just pause them as opposed to go through them and then come back. But basically, I don't like Unbearable on this map. I've talked about it before, but the main lobbable obstacles are these two in the center where this Contortio is now, right? You got this obstacle, you got this obstacle. The problem is that they're surrounded by lava, so the lobs there are not great. Now, this is a level 8 Unbearable. It's up there. It's pushing some damage. It obviously is fairly tanky. It could just end up down here and locking off this area, but I'm not a huge fan of this thing. And we see our blue player sneaking some other panic points, or trying to, but Gilbo's obviously filling in behind. The blue player banked to 6 keys, so we'll see if they have anything special planned at 6. But in what's becoming quickly a Gilbo special, we see a Cyclops. Speaking of that quest that I wanted to complete earlier. So the Cyclops is coming down and is going to threaten... I mean, the Gravedigger's not hanging out, right? He's not just going to chill out here, bag of chips, just taking a break, looking in the park. Instead, he's going to come down here and whack the crap out of Contortio, and Bachelor scores a kill. Now, we see an additional bank from our blue player. Now, they can't, or chose not to, invade with this level 10 Gin Sting. It's a pretty big Gin Sting. They chose not to advance it. I can respect it because Maggie is representing 500 damage. There's another 500 damage, but that's not enough to kill this. I kind of feel like I would rather have seen it either go north again or up one space, because now you're just not getting as many hits, so technically this Maggie may not have to leave. Like, I mean, it does, because they can move the Gin Sting down to this point and roll the Unbearable forward so they can get it. I don't know. The Unbearable's just weird for me. I keep coming back to that. The Gin Sting I like because of the mobility. The lack of mobility is really the big thing for Unbearable for me on this map. It can be challenging to get into position, in my opinion. It's that way with all the one-move phobies, but I don't think Unbearable offers enough. Like, say you get Erratic on this map. Erratic could at least chain things when you get into this cluster in the middle, which we can start to see develop here. And yes, they could stand on their healing spot, but ultimately they are able to... Like, you could chain stuff. I don't know about the Unbearable. Speaking of Erratic, we do see it leap out of the vault, which somebody pointed out, Erratic has a unique animation for this compared to other phobies. We're just going to hang out up here while it's it. We can see or feel the Unbearable rolling. Stop. Game, don't scroll me out. I want to see like, my man Superman leaps, or superhero leaps, out of the vault, which is pretty cool. But we see this build up. Like, this is what has happened on a lot of games that I played on this. And I've mentioned before that I like or have moved since into a more aggressive start as blue, or even orange. Just press as many panic points as you can. Force your opponent to do something, because otherwise you end up in these stalemates, and you don't know, unless you play the person a bunch of times, is their collection better than yours at stalemates? That's the main thing. Jump out of nowhere into action. Exactly, Onda. My man just materializes out of the void, and then just shows up and says, where you at? Because I'm just a zappy boy. I'm a zappy boy. Who's going to win? This whole army or one zappy boy? Well, we know the answer, so no spoilers. But in the meantime, we see the Gravedigger move up, cap this point. Makes sense. The Gravedigger's not really doing anything else. Now, what's a little strange here... So the Gravedigger broke this one obstacle and then basically died. Well, it killed this Contortio, so we're negative keys for our blue player. Lippy call erratic with the weird looking bat. Does they? I don't remember Lippy saying that. But we see a crowd favorite here in Blinky coming out and popping the Gravedigger. Now, we don't see more aggression out of Gilbo. Instead, a bank set of keys. Could have been some more one-drops to try and claim this point, but playing it a little bit safer. The erratic moves up. We get a cat kill. Okay, sure. It is relevant eliminating these, just picking them off, because if you leave the little keys around, they do stuff like this. Yes, they don't push a lot of damage. They're not going to tank a lot of damage. Oh, hold on, we got to talk about this. But even on big maps, the small phobies are very relevant. The small phobies, for you beginners out there, small phobies are the most important ones in your collection. Why? Because you're basically going to use them in every single game. Yes, you might get early on a lot of value out of your Alleygator, or for me it was erratic, or for pick a arbitrary large key phobie. You might use them a lot. And you'd be like, oh, well, this is going to be the core of my army. I'm going to try and force it in a lot of, if not all, games. Here's the challenge. As you level up, as you progress in the ranks, as your collection grows, you're going to find that you just don't end up utilizing those phobies in the same way that you do all your little ones. Not nearly as frequently. And on the big maps, a lot of little phobies can swarm and nibble to death a larger phobie. They also can present you with the option to just go face. That is, claim all the panic points or just swarm towards the heart, or both. You can't do that when all of your keys are tied up in a singularly large phobia. You can cover way more area with a bunch of little ones. Why am I mentioning all this? Well, bringing it back to the Bachelor and the Cat that just recently went down. These allow you to control the panic points across the map. You can't necessarily do that, again, with the tall phobies, especially ones like Erratic, who's awesome, but slow. Just pointing it out. Same story with Unbearable, why I don't like it earlier. Now, we have our blue player banking. But the reason I paused here is because we have a fetch. We were talking about all the dog phobies earlier, so I'm very curious to see where this fetch goes. One key phobies believe in the power of friendship. It's true. I was going to make like a Captain Planet reference. Or what other thing we could do, like Wonder Twins, combiners from Transformers. There's a lot of things where everybody teams up, right? But given that we have Brony, I think the power of friendship is appropriate. Oh boy! The big boss man himself. Just thundering onto the battlefield. And then we get the recap from Bachelor. Again, small phobies. So right now, the blue player is mostly maintaining a panic point advantage. They haven't pushed a ton of damage. This is still a very even game. 78-75, 78-75. Like, this is very even health-wise, and that's why I personally emphasize going for aggressive starts on this map and pushing aggressively so that you make your opponent think. Otherwise, I think that, at least for me, the game is going to devolve into who has the bigger, badder set of phobies, and my late game collection isn't exactly spectacular, so that's why I tend to falter in those scenarios. Or I just make a dumb mistake, because I'm a dumb sometimes, and end up losing things to a spider pull. So that's why, like, if you want to set up that game plan, great. But be aware of what the costs and benefits of it are. And in the meantime, we just see some stuff getting cleaned up, some panic points getting reclaimed. Little bit of damage going down on Blinky, but Blinky, reminder, is undead. And we're seeing Blinky go and cap points, so Gilbo seems to be in the same position, but we see the other big boss man, the Molotov cocktail partier himself, and that's Evo 3.0. Pushing some damage here on and softening up boss, which can be very relevant for these big key phobies. It's not necessarily, oh man, I gotta do 3,000 plus damage in a single turn. Soften them up where you can, and here, this Evo is safe, and it's going to be able to hunt down this boss unless it runs, like, all the way back to spawn. This is also kind of hilarious that it took 3 attacks to take down that Blinky plus the boss attack. But, regardless, we actually see the boss walk away in order to heal, and then again, small phobies reclaiming this point. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Rambolina on this map. There's no place to boop for an Abyss tile, aka an auto kill. But Rambolina does represent an enormous amount of mobility, so there is that. Oh, baby. Look, it's the Gilbo signature now, is Brony. There's a number of high-level players. Like, I was played against Alien Engineer the other day and lost. Was it Alien Engineer? I think it was Alien Engineer that ran out of Brony, and it just made life super complicated. Or maybe it wasn't. Because I did play Alien Engineer, but there was somebody else who was high up on the ladder that is emphasizing Brony hits. But we get the great repositioning in order to try and threaten this Evo. Alien Engineer's a Brony main. Okay, so it may have been that. He was on, this may sting a bit. Or sting a little. Whatever the name of that map is. But anyway. So again, we're clearing out the low keys. We're getting a repositioning of the Brony. Now, I don't think there's any way that this Brony can go down, but Brony is not immortal. Wait, is this boss gonna go down? It's not going to go down, but it could get clobbered. Or it is getting clobbered. Now, this could do, we'll say 5,000, 1,400, almost 1,500. It is possible for this Brony to die. Now, our blue player would have to commit with everything, and that may not be what they want to do. But I could see it being valuable. And depending on how Gilbo positions, this boss could pull back and then... Interesting. Oh, wow! I'm telling you, the line of sight thing for this is ridiculous. So this hit everything but this jar. Well, I mean, it didn't hit the Maggie, the Jin Sting. No, it did hit the Jin Sting. It didn't hit the Maggie, and it didn't hit the Hevo. So Gilbo came out on the better end of the Brony exchange, but Jesus, like, look at this. Okay, so boss didn't. But Erratic's down, Rambolina's down, Jin Sting's down, Unbearable's down. That's bonkers. Yeah, it's true, Wanda. Like, Brony is... It locks off so much in the map. Honestly, I don't like talking about nerfs and buffs at this stage. We've talked briefly about my suggestion for Stabby, where I think it needs a slight nerf. But Brony just feels kind of ridiculous, given the range that it has, and the way that line of sight blocking doesn't work, because you can block targeting with your phobies, but you can't block line of sight. So Brony will go through... This is a cool play. The invade to take the enemy spa, which, by the way... If you haven't used Brony before, we've talked about this in other Brony game breakdowns. The Brony players' effects will wear off first. There's just a huge amount of benefits to getting a Brony activation. So, like, look at this. You can just be so aggressive as the Brony player. And there's really not much your opponent can do other than walk away. They have to run away. Or kill the Brony, like, the turn that it's available. So, unfortunately, this Maggie died for just hitting this once, I guess. I think Gilbo must have forgot that it was going to die to the fire here. Now, why attack the Brony with the boss? Well, the boss can actually do damage, so that's reason number one. But assuming that it was Bronied, it also would still get the effect, which is more what I wanted to point out. If you Brony something, you're not losing the effects on the attack, so... We already know it doesn't disable poison and disease, but if you Hevo it, for example, it'll still set the tile on fire. And as we saw, the Rambolina will still displace as well. So it's weird. Normally you look at games of Phobies and go, well, how many keys did my Phobie trade for? Well, in this case, it doesn't really matter. It's you bought an enormous amount of tempo. You bought several turns of positioning so that now you, like, look at this setup. What exactly was our blue player supposed to do? I mean, their stuff is going to come back online, but, like, that's a lot of keys. You traded Brony and Jin Sting for these and then also got the positioning advantage. You can definitely screw up with Brony, don't get me wrong. But it just feels like it's kind of bonkers. Brony feels rough. So we do have a panic point advantage for our blue player. But we're seeing an invade from Gilbo here. Takes down the Jin Sting. Now this is somewhat bold, because this is only an 1100, almost 1200 health Hevo at this stage. So the splash from this, an invasion from, or an advance, we won't say an invasion, an advance from the Unbearable and the Jar will take it down relatively easily. The question is can Erratic and Jar kill these two? I don't know exactly how close this is going to be on it, but, like, look at this. This is... I'm curious how Gilbo takes this down, because this looks really bad for our... I'm sorry, what? Oh, they couldn't kill it. Oh, no. This may have been calculated by Gilbo. This may have been calculated, which if it was, shout out to Gilbo, because I had assumed that this thing was dead, which it should have been. Why didn't you just put the Unbearable on the lava? Oh, no. That's brutal, because if this thing is dead, if the Hevo is dead, this game is over, right? There's no way that these two are killing Erratic, let alone this and Unbearable. Like, just take the lava damage. Oh, no. Not like this. Not like this. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to beat up on our blue player here, because I make mistakes like this all the time, but... like, this thing dies because it took an extra 900... well, it would have been 900. It took an extra 800 damage from this Hevo that it didn't need to take. I think blue players panic that Unbearable will be able to kill the... yeah, that could be it, Onda. Like, when you're under this much pressure, especially if this was an arena game, I didn't check beforehand, but, you know, sometimes you just get panicked and you don't recognize the plays that are there. But absolutely, the Unbearable should have gone up and just tagged the Hevo, and then this game is over. Because these are not killing the Erratic. But GG, Gilbo. Well played. Well played. We've said it before. Winning games is not just a matter of making cool plays or, you know, coming up with something that, oh, well, who could have seen that? It's making less mistakes than your opponent, playing to your outs. So in Gilbo's case... going the way they did probably was the only option they had, and it was just, I need my opponent to make a mistake. They made an error. It happens. So GG. I can see why this game was very close. This was, in fact, the very definition of very close. As we watch them just, you know, slugfest back and forth, heavyweight battle between Cyclops and Unbearable. But we get some magic eyeballs here, and pop goes the Unbearable. GG. So shout out to Gilbo for sending that game in. Like I said earlier, if you're interested in getting your own games on one of the Random Slots Breakdown, you can check out the Random Slots Discord, either !Discord on the live stream, which, by the way, if you want to see live Phobies and other games, come on over to RTChompGG over on Twitch, or check out this YouTube description or the Discord link. And by the way, likes and subscribes do seriously help. So much appreciated. And comments as well. I try to answer all the comments. I really do. I think the blue player... oh, we saw that earlier. Get a little chomp action. I like it. I like it. All right, so... let me get this one. Gilbo goes, when he submitted the game, I submit my game against Loki. It's highlight. I managed to play Hevo 3.0 and Brony at the same time. Shit got real in the end. You don't say. You don't say. Jumping into another viewer-submitted game. We're going to try and break it down. As mentioned a few moments ago, this is from someone who hasn't submitted a game previously, so shout out to them. And as always, if you're interested in getting your own games broken down on stream or on YouTube, you know the spiel by now, but join up on the Random Thoughts Discord. So let's jump in here. Oh, this is you, Azumi? Alright, cool. Alright, so we're back on the same map we were just looking at a moment ago with Gilbo, but we have a different opener here from our hero in the blue trunks. It is Fluffy Bunny. However, over here, bad guy in the orange trunks trying to ruin all our fun, and that is Kira. We're on Rush Hour. We have, as mentioned, a different opener. Typically, we see a lot of flyers. Last game, we saw a Gravedigger opener, which was interesting, but didn't work out. Now, it wasn't because of the Gravedigger opener. You'll have to go back and look at that game if you haven't looked at it. But let's see how our orange player answers. They start out with a jar. A reasonable response to this cat down here, but I'm not a huge fan of it. Again, I like the flyers to cap any of these pocket things as much as you can, and including this, you know, it's a 2-move here, so you could get right on here. I can understand not putting the flyer here because the cat can move in, get a hit, and then something ranged. It'll be 1, 2, 3. It would be difficult. Like a snowball could hit it, I guess, but odds are something's safe. We'll see. Made a lot of mistakes in the beginning, just couldn't. That's fair. We'll see. So we get a Jackalope up here. I can respect it. It threatens this spot, and there isn't too much, but our blue player, because of the opener, does have the option of a 7 key, which I kind of like on this map. And there, I was about to say Pterodactyl, and, you know, its non-existent ears were burning, as the saying goes. You know what's weird? So you can see the stitches on the wings, right? And it kind of makes sense. You're sewing the fleshy parts of the wing back together. But I had assumed, and I am not a paleontologist, but I had assumed that whatever dinosaur pterodactyl is supposed to be, this is a bone, and it's sewn back on. Or that's what the implication of this stitch is. I know we're not talking about gameplay here, but I just notice some of these things sometimes. Just throwing it out there. I'm also not Dr. Frankenstein, so I also don't know if that would be necessary. A pterodactyl? Exactly, Anda, yeah. It's exactly supposed to be an undead pterodactyl. So we see the elimination of the cat that was softened up earlier, but we don't see a lot of points getting recapped by our orange player. Now, this advance by Ginsting and the cowbell is questionable, I would say. It's not eliminating the enemy cowbell. The cowbell, and because it's not eliminating it, that means this jackalope is going to go down. And this is, exactly, like, killing these things, this is a strong beginning by our blue player. Now, we see the jar follow-up. I'm not super enthusiastic about the jar, but they can't really go after it because the pterodactyl is just going to turret everything on this point. They would have to dive with both, which it looks like they're going to do. Yeah, it looks like they're going to do that. Because the bees, which is probably mistake number 1, because we have our blue player in chat right now. That obviously that jar could have been positioned, say, up here and would have been safe. And still able to threaten all this stuff. Now, in the meantime, we have Newly Deads, which I do like from our orange player. That actually came out last turn, and Eternal Night down here. I can respect this, you know, the footsies that are going on down here, trying to juggle this bottom panic point or position for this bottom panic point. And in the meantime, we're seeing keys eliminated. Now, this primate is a level 5 primate. That's better than mine, I think. I can respect the primate. Now, the pterodactyl is not really threatened here, which is fine with the positioning. Yes, it could hypothetically take a bunch of damage. It's going to get damaged at least somewhat by the Ginsting. But if the Ginsting stays, yep, it would have been eliminated by the primate advance, the pterodactyl, possibly even the cowbell if necessary. And we still maintain a blue panic point advantage. I'm not real sold on this, but I guess the boom is fine. Plus, odds are, we'll have to see how this plays out, but at worst, it's just going to go reclaim a point. It's just another 1-drop that's going to get sacrificed. It doesn't really matter, other than the fact that it does allow something to hit it and walk away. Now, the only difference here, in addition to that, is that Jar can poke this super effectively, so we'll have to be careful with the positioning here. But as expected, I'm anticipating... Oh, no. Oh, they're walking the cowbell in. That's fair. So the combination of the Eternal Night and the Boom eliminate our Newly Dead here. Now, it's going to trade out fairly evenly. Oh, no, not like this. So this I'm not a fan of. We'll have to see if our orange player punishes the Murder Wing here. It doesn't look like they're interested in it. So what could have happened is that this Hevo moved up and punished the Murder Wing. Well, it's going to get punished in a different way because our orange player banked to 10. So the Hevo could have ended up here, but that would have meant that you get hit twice by this, once by this, and once by this, and once by the Primate. So it would have been like, we'll round up to 5. Well, we'll say 900 between these. Say another 5, so 1,400, like 2,000. It possibly could have killed the Hevo, so they wouldn't have wanted to do that. But regardless, Hevo 3.0 comes out and just annihilates these two. Does Barzilla count as a dinosaur? I don't know. Does Godzilla count as a dinosaur? And we don't know technically what Murder Wing is. It could be a dinosaur. But this Murder Wing does what it was probably summoned to do, which is eliminate this jar. Honestly, our blue player is in an enormous control of this game, it feels like. Now, I've mentioned this before. Erratic isn't necessarily a spectacular answer to Hevo 3.0 because of the splash. It effectively extends the range of Hevo, assuming you cooperate, of course, as the Hevo or the other non-Hevo player. But it isn't. Especially on this map, just for all the reasons we were outlining with Unbearable, and we'll pause for a second just so I get this point out. All the reasons I don't like Unbearable, they aren't as bad for Erratic on this map, but they are challenging. Now, in this particular case, it doesn't look like it's, we know the outcome. And I'm not sure that there's necessarily a better answer overall. I mean, I guess, you can miss Moffat and then blow it up with your whole team. Yes. But that isn't always available. So, you shoot fire from your mouth. Doing a Barzilla impression? Oh, no. Luffy, no. No, not like that. No, that stuff is gross. Fireball is gross. Anyway. So, in the meantime, we see some cool Jin Sting animation. Obviously, the Murder Wing's not going to be long for this world. Although, actually, it might live. But we do have Cerberus coming down. Again, one move phobia on this map. Not a huge fan. But it is a big... It's a big old threat. It's effective, though. I mean, I guess it depends on what your goal is. We'll put it that way. In the meantime, our Hevo army player is getting softened up a little bit. They do need to reclaim some panic points, and this is where I think it's a mistake to necessarily invest. Like, Hevo's fine. And granted, this Hevo took a little bit of damage, but, dimensional phobies. Another reason that I am not a huge fan of this, you're down panic points. You're actually down a lot of, look at your heart. There's a bunch of panic points that are blue. You need to reclaim these points. Going with a bunch of small phobies, especially since you're going to need multiple phobies in order to hit this, kill and then eliminate the pterodactyl. I think you really need to be spamming tiny things instead of this Cerberus. I think the Cerberus is a mistake and puts you in a big hole here. So we see more anti-mechanical phobies in Thunder Rocks coming down and a follow-up Gesundheit. The Gesundheit I kind of like. Kind of. I mean, it can get in position here and then you can just blow up the Cerberus. I know Cerberus can induce a lot of panic. But for all the reasons I was talking about, I'm not a huge fan of Cerberus here. Now, this doesn't die. Oh, no. This lives? Oh, baby. Not like this. I mean, things are going to die trying to dive this cluster here. Our blue player only has 6 keys left, so there is a little bit of a concern, and maybe the counter kill onto Pterodactyl is putting the fear of God in a little bit. But we'll see where this goes. A Muffin follow-up. Oh, just to cap this point. That's fair. See, this I think should have happened sooner. But we have a sheep down here. Everybody by now probably knows my feelings on sheep. I don't really like this particular phobia. Let's see how blue responds here. Actually chooses to go after the I'm a little confused by this. Oh, leap was down. Okay, leap was down. I thought leap was up. I was... Like, the hit on the Cerberus is fine, I guess. Now, granted, our blue player has a number of advantages to work with here. They have the life advantage, they have the panic point advantage. Because of all that, our orange player has to commit in, and if they do that, you have this cluster of enemies just waiting for them to pounce. There is an argument maybe to try and kill the Hevo right now, because clustering like this is kind of dangerous. But most people, I think, are going to back off and try and heal the Hevo. But I think forcing the scenario on your terms is at least an option. Like, what if I'm trying to rewind this? So this turn, this has to walk in. This has 1900 health. This will do 7. We'll say 12. I'm rounding up, so that may not... It's actually not 12. It's like 11 and change. Okay, so you can't get this Hevo. And you can't get this. Alright, so this line is fine. The way our blue player went, because you can't actually kill anything. Capping the points is valuable, because obviously they're down to, like, nothing. They're down to 1500 health. We end up here, that's why I'm skipping ahead. We get the retreat from orange. They actually control all of the panic points now. And then I assume we're looking at a very dead Cerberus. Because despite that mountain of hit points, there's too many things here for it to not die. But since we've flipped the panic points in the orange player's favor, you'd think that there would be some concern about our blue player's life total, but realistically, they've been in control of the map for just about the entire game. So as a result, this game seems like it's going to come down to either orange has got to eliminate all the phobies on blue's side, or blue just has to control the panic points for a couple turns. If the position were a little bit different, you could see a dive, but clearly it's going to take too long to get there. And on top of it, now we have a super healthy Hevo who's on the healing spa. We got the muffin. This is looking dicey, but we do have a nice cluster here for a Hermetic Gin Sting hit, for some more bees action, as well as erratic splashes. We do see the advance here in order to dodge the sheep hit, but not really, because unless we have something to block here, the sheep is now going to connect on erratic and Gesundheit. I feel like that could have been done differently. Did you need both Gin Sting attacks? I'm not sure, but we get the Woolly Bully power down, and then this is where Sheep actually does something when you invest another 5 keys. Does something against Erratic, that is. When you invest another 5 keys so that way you can power it down and Erratic can't just heal through it. Because otherwise, this Erratic is probably going to kill the Sheep, tank a turn of poison, go hit something else, tank a turn of poison. But instead, we do get... Because the Gesundheit is on the healing spa, the poison doesn't matter. It's more that it just took damage, but it wasn't enough to kill it. Which is all that really matters. And now we see the panic points go blue again. And I think this is going to be the beginning of the end. Or should be the beginning of the end. The Pterodactyl is an enormous amount of value for our blue player here, because there's realistically no real way for orange player to actually take it down at this point. What did that Cerberus do? That feels like it was the game, honestly. That Cerberus did nothing. You get a little traffic whacking going. And we do see the elimination of Hematic Gin Sting. And remember, we have a powered down Erratic. But because of the pressure, and this is why I talked about it in the other game, I've had an enormous amount of games come down to I just pressure their heart enough that it opens up opportunities late in the game where either you dive their heart or you do exactly what we see blue player doing here. Don't fight them. You don't need to. Just go cap the points. They can't fight you. Just looking at chat. So we see a recap here, and we will see another one. Presumably this goes up and takes the points. Yep, that makes sense. But But I don't think there's any way for this to actually... Yeah, we're going to see the aggressive pterodactyl play. So the Woolly Bully needs to come back and power it down. And even then, it might not be enough. Yeah, we're looking at a 450. There's no way anything can get in position to stop this. Can't walk on it. Can't reach it to power it down. A little bit of a womp-womp, sad trombone, but this was well played by our blue player here. This was well played. GG. That's how it goes down. Like I said before, I like aggressive plays, like actively pushing for the panic points. I personally have had a lot of difficulty winning games when it just gets into that stalemate situation. Try and set up a spider pole, try and set up a boop, something like that. It hasn't worked out for me personally. Playing to these panic points, controlling the board, and pushing damage that way, I've both won and lost games to that. So I like that strategy a lot more. So shout out to fluffybunnie here for submitting this one. Much appreciated. And if you're interested in getting your own games broken down, reviewed, definitely hit up the Random Slots Discord either in the video description or check out the live stream over on Twitch, RTChompGG. Not even close, exactly. Exactly. It was never in doubt. Never in doubt. If you want to get your own games reviewed either on stream or over on YouTube, or both, hit up the Random Slots Discord. There are instructions in there for what information I'll need from you, and then you too can get your name up in lights. But we're going to jump into our game here from Hypereat. So we're on, this may sting a little, this may sting a bit, I'm not sure, but in the blue corner, in the blue trunks, we have our hero. Nope, we have our bad guy, actually. Our hero up here is actually in the orange trunks, in the top right corner. Now we see the somewhat standard opener from our blue player. This makes sense. We see a non-standard opener to a degree from our orange player. That is the early Eternal Knight. So shout out to all my Eternal Knight fans. Now they chose to bank the 6th key, or bank 2 6 keys, which is interesting. We'll see what they come out with. But like I said, the opener here is somewhat normal. We see Murder Wings that are taking the appropriate points, or in position to take the appropriate points. We have a Gin Sting follow-up, which is kind of interesting. It's big enough to tank, say, a meatball and a hit from the Eternal Knight, so I can respect it. But we now see a follow-up cat. This is a little weird from our orange player. Like, why the cat now? I'm not sure. You can make the argument that the Gin Sting prompted them to, you know, like they were banking the keys because they wanted to see what their opponent did, but I don't know what our blue player could have done on 5 keys, since they expended them all on turn 1, that would have influenced it that you would not want the cat. Because if the cat was already out, this could have already capped this point. Now it's going to die regardless, but that's the whole point of this thing being out there, right? So we see a stabby follow-up, which is somewhat unique for this map. The one-move phobies tend to fall out of favor on this map, in my experience, because they don't, you know, it just takes forever for them to get up there. Oh, you played this person a lot, Honda? All right. So we actually see an aggressive Gin Sting positioning in order to try and soften up this Murder Wing, which I can respect because this Murder Wing is going to have to run all the way out in order to dodge an inbound meatball. Plus, we have, of course, the cat coming in. Now, the meatball here, actually, is that enough? Okay, so the counter meatball puts... Well, no, this doesn't. So this Murder Wing is still dead. Gin Sting moves in, Murder Wing moves in, and lights it up. And there's not follow-up here in order to punish that because Stabby's so slow. Speaking of slow, we have an Erratic here that is going to inch its way towards the battlefield. Now, our orange player could supplement with something such as Microscopic in order to punish the invasion. But this northbound movement by our blue player allows for a swing south from our orange player. I'm very curious what this cat is doing. Unless they're just going to go beat on the heart, which seems extreme. Now, it could be to back up the Eternal Knight because, for example, if the Murder Wing goes here, pelts the Eternal Knight, it's going to get pulled forward. It's going to be out of action so it can't run. And it's not going to get the heal. It's going to take the damage from the Dimensional. So the cat could follow up just to supplement it in order to actually eliminate the Murder Wing. That could be why they're shooing it away. But either way, it looks like we have a dead Murder Wing in the north. And like I said, unless that Murder Wing ran all the way away, it was doomed. So I'm not a fan of leaving the Murder Wing around. We get a Stairmaster follow-up, so our blue player is representing a lot of inbound threats at this stage and are in somewhat of a commanding position. They don't have something to cap the middle, which is unfortunate, because the cat goes down, but trading the cat for the Murder Wing is solid. And we get an Alistor follow-up, so everybody avert your eyes if this has caused you a lot of trauma in Phobies. In the meantime, the battle to the south is still going on. Our blue player does appropriately, we'll say, eliminate the cat so that way you don't lose the Murder Wing. You're going to take a little bit more heart damage, but that's okay. That's not that important at this stage. You're not taking a ton. You're not down in panic points. Now, this is a little weird. We've seen this play before, not necessarily with Bowmangles, but with Stabby. This I can understand wanting to do this, but A, this thing is just going to walk up and punch the Murder Wing or punch the heart. It doesn't matter. Like, this thing is dead. You don't need help to kill this for the most part. They could run it away, but you want to shoo it away anyway. They have no threats to hit your Murder Wing. Like, there's no way that orange player's getting in there. So the Murder Wing is safe. You don't need something else to hit it, and this is 3 keys that are not wasted, but mostly wasted for a couple turns at least, because especially if it stays down here to hit this has to walk all the way in and then hopefully be in, like, you've not hemorrhaged board position. Now, given the lockdown that our blue player has on the center, maybe that's fine. But their damage output is actually threatening to Alistor, assuming the Alistor gets in range. Now, we see the counter sheep for the erratic. I'll beat the dead horse and say I don't like that. But the battle lines are now being drawn. We actually get a follow-up pterodactyl, which is kind of cool because it's going to pull itself forward here. Now, that's a decent setup if the Bowmangles was trying to set up the pterodactyl so that it would do this. Like, that's cute, but I don't know that it's necessary. And now we see a blue panic point advantage. So the microscopic comes in and is going to get a free shot on our Ginsting here. Now, the thing is that the Ginsting can retaliate and kill it, but the Alistor is threatening here. And the Alistor, it won't be able to do enough damage. It won't be able to do enough damage. Now, with bees, it could, and of course, Rock Lobster here in Clopster can also dive and potentially push this Ginsting. So we'll see if... Yeah, our blue player elects to run it away. I could see them moving erratic here and then finishing it off. I don't know if that actually... Yeah, it doesn't kill it. Oh, that's a big feels bad. That's a big feels bad. So is hitting Stabby with Stairmaster. Stairmaster, I've come around on Stairmaster back and forth, and the low life pool is just rough. Punching Stabby makes it hurt even more, because all of a sudden it's like this thing can be just one shot, almost. Maybe a single round of attacks, we'll say. Do we get some repositioning from our orange player? They're not under an enormous amount of pressure, because they're able to recap this point. You know, we're even on panic points. So we're setting up further battle lines. Now, there's a lot of stuff grouped, but it appears our blue player is fearing the sheep hit until now. So the erratic goes in, and I'm okay with this. You know, if the sheep goes in, oh no, not like this. Are you going to kill the sheep? Because if not, not like this. So truthfully, it might have been worth it to put... Now, I was going to say put the Ginsting on the point to cap it, but then the Alistor just kills it. This Ginsting is dead. It's just a matter of how much damage can our orange player do. Like, can they eliminate the pterodactyl? Because this line here, that is really threatening. But the pterodactyl is going to take an enormous amount of damage here. Stairmaster tends to be a reaction to what my opponent is doing versus my actual game plan in any game. I agree. That's kind of the role that I utilize it for. So this is brutal. We have to look at this turn again. So what did we get? We got the sheep and the microscopic here. And then we have this battle line, right? But look at this. Double sets of bees to soften things up. Then Stabby puts in some work on the pterodactyl, which just like that goes down because of this positioning. And then this play is brutal. So it's, okay, we traded microscopic and sheep for pterodactyl and Ginsting. and whatever this was that I can't remember, Murder Wing, I think. That's a pretty good set of trades. Oh, and by the way, the Rock Lobster is controlling this point. Now, the Rock Lobster's dead, right? But still. I never expect what Clopster can do. That's pretty cool. Clopster, so for anybody who's curious, the reason Clopster can do this is because of Burrow. If I'm blocking it, Burrow is, well, you burrow. So you bypass obstacles and units. Can't bypass pits, though. You can't crawl through or burrow under the abyss. And it's a 1-turn cooldown, but it's a 4 movement range. It's an enormous range. I don't know if anything else in the game has a range that rivals it. Like, we have a number of 3-move effects, but getting that far was incredible. So the Clopster does go down, but the 4-tile burrow, yeah, it's just really far. You can threaten so many things. So the Clopster does go down. It pays for its sins of eliminating the Gin Sting. Now we see, this is funny, Alistor is such a crazy threat, but we see it like capping points at this stage. So Gesundheit comes back, or sets up on this point. We have a Quagmire that's made its way into the battle, and right now there's really not much that can threaten it. Yes, this Stairmaster is going to push a bunch of damage now that it's on the stem, but it's also not long for the world. Maybe you can 5 tiles move with paddles. That would be pretty wild. I don't think I've seen that combination yet, but 5 tiles off of Clopster would be bonkers. So we're getting, this is a bloodbath. There's Phobies dying left and right. Got stuff going down all over the place. And again, it feels as though our blue player is stabilizing. They don't have a majority of the panic points, but they are in a pretty solid position with all their stuff. And they're threatening a whole bunch of things on this board. Now, this is not long for the world, because we're going to get a little bees. Whoa. So we see bees go down on the erratic, which is interesting. And we see the Gin Sting. Oh, the erratic. I didn't realize the erratic was that low. So that explains why the willingness to go on the lava tiles is taking down the erratic. That absolutely works. Otherwise, I mean, this is going to get counter-killed, the Primate. I don't think it's possible for the Gin Sting to go down, and now all of a sudden, because that erratic died, which I didn't realize how low it was, that's like the whole offense for blue here. The rest of it is way too slow or way too fragile. So the Henrietta here is fine. Yes, it's a poison phobia connecting with a dimensional, but as we mentioned on many occasions before, 9 times out of 10, that's irrelevant. It just doesn't matter. Plus, this Alistor is going to heal so much that it's also not going to matter. So we just start seeing takedowns, and the bloodbath continues. The Clopster play a couple turns ago, and then the ability to take down that erratic, this definitely feels as though our blue player once again, well, maybe not blue player once again, but just the bad guy once again mispositioned, misjudged what our hero's forces could do. And isn't that how it always works? The bad guy always underestimates the hero. And now we get a little Quagmire on hard action, just beating the crap out of it. Cap some points, why don't you? It's all over but the crying, chat. I mean, we get some, I guess, offense out of our blue player here. Honestly, you probably could have left this thing on the point and just gone after this. But you have a 5,400 to 2,000 life lead. I don't even know, like, why leave the panic point. Maybe the math works out. It doesn't matter. Because you're just going to dive back in. And our blue player realizes it. I mean, they actually abandon it in order to cap this point, but the writing has been on the wall for a few turns. When the erratic went down, that was game over. So this was pretty cool. Definitely a unique set of plays with this Alistor, which I wonder how much that played in psychologically on our blue player, that they did not want to commit into it or anything like that, that it was just always the threat of the Alistor forced them to play more safely, and then ultimately mispositioned in order trying to dodge other problems. But that's one of the things is that I've talked a lot about how it's not just making cool plays, It's sometimes playing better than your opponent by just not making mistakes, but you can induce mistakes, which is inherently kind of a cool play, where just the psychological effect of some of these super powerful phobies, the Alistors, the Grimes of the world, those sort of things, that even if you disagree that they're super powerful, the fact of the matter is the majority of the community sees them as super powerful, so therefore it will induce some panic when you slap them down on the board. Maybe that's what played into it, but shout out to Hyper here. Thank you for submitting the game, and GG. If you want to get your own games reviewed, you heard the spiel at the beginning, but head on over to the Random Slots Discord. You'll see. Question, should I bully people in heebie-jeebies in async mode just for fun? Well, you will quickly rank out of it. They changed that several patches, or maybe not several patches ago, but they changed that a while back. And they set it up so that you will rank up faster in either arena or async, whichever one is higher, so that it equalizes your rank more quickly, so that people don't just beat up people climbing a ladder, that sort of thing. All right, so we're going to take a look at this one. I see a beauty MVP, so we see somebody defeating a beauty. What are the notes on this one? Spawned 2 big phobies and a famous one, too. Listen, I got in this match, big phobies can't really do everything without the help of smaller key phobies. Yep, a very common lesson that can be very painful to learn, but we're going to see how this works out. So we're on Raining Worms, or I had the actual name of this map and I forgot it, but I always call this Raining Worms. So we're going to go with Raining Worms, and we have a half bizarre opener from our blue player. The Murder Wing makes sense. This is an easy cap on this map. It's an easy cap on this map for both players. It's pretty safe. But no follow-up means that they're not capping this bottom point or threatening the middle. So we'll have to see what they're banking to 6 for. But we get the follow-up or the answer Murder Wing from our orange player, our hero here, Onda. In the orange trunks, our hero, Onda. And we see Creep, which I am now beginning to respect more and more as a Murder Wing answer. Now, the positioning here is weird. I don't think... This, I feel like, is a mistake. They have nothing that you can spit on over here. And you can... If you put the... Why are you not letting me... Alright, it's not going to show me the tiles, but basically you could put the Creep here and still cap this point, or threaten to spit on the Murder Wing. It's a minor thing, but it gives you the option for either play. Maybe Onda already had in mind exactly what they were going to do, but it would have given you more flexibility if the Creep was back one space east. So since we didn't see the early play at this southernmost panic point, we now have a 3-2 panic point advantage in favor of orange and a follow-up Gin Sting, which is just enough to possibly shoo away this K9. Honestly, I don't think it's going to be, but we did get a big bank. A big bank from our blue player for Hevo 3.0, and the big boys are already hitting the board. And we get a cheap shot on the orange heart here. I don't really like this because now the Murder Wing is somewhat trapped. You have to assume that the orange player is going to back off, right? So why are you going to expose your Murder Wing like this? You'd rather keep the mobility. And based on the description that Onda provided, where big phobies are not getting the support they need from the blue player throughout the course of this match, I can kind of see where that's going. So we'll see the Creep go down, but Creep trading for Murder Wing seems fine, right? Like, that seems good. Now, the Sparky answer is interesting. This is a larger map, so getting Erratic into position is going to take time. It also, because of the lob and these obstacles in the center, could be a little weird. The Sparky comes out to play pretty quickly. What level is a Sparky? This is a level 7 Sparky, so it's sizable. I don't know that you want to advance it like this. You will kill the K9, but they are going to get a hit with this. They could dive with the Cassowary, and then on top of it, soften it up with a Hevo hit. Now, it's not in range of the Hevo now, so the Hevo would get exposed to 2 hits, which they probably don't want to do, but I don't think they can kill it, because they get a single hit, and then 2 hits. Now, they might be able to kill it, because it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, that could threaten the Hevo. This defends the aggressive opening. But here we see the other big boy come out to play, and that's Beauty. We do, in fact, get the Invasion Bolt to recap a point and soften up this Sparky. Now, this is kind of bold positioning. because you can clearly kill this cassowary. It's going to be relatively trivial. I guess the intent here is this is now a 1500 health Sparky, so you can counter kill it. You still have 15 keys as the blue player. And I think that's what we're going to see. I mean, they can't kill this now. The Sparky. And this line here is presumably to spread, obviously, to avoid the AoE and the line attack from Beauty. We get a follow-up Eternal Night and a bank to 8 keys from Ondo, which is pretty cool. We'll see what they pull out for 8. But in this case, this Hevo, for a 2700, almost 2800 health Hevo, this feels like it's not doing much. Now, admittedly, you can't really commit into this because while everything is smaller, and yes, you'll probably... Well, actually, you won't even kill anything. A single hit from, say, Beauty and Hevo combined is just not enough damage. And we see an enormous amount of damage going down on this Beauty. Does it die this turn? Oh, wow. I guarantee Ondo's eyes were lighting up in this because, like, that would have been a great Beauty snipe. But as it is, it's still so damaged that now it's basically out of the game for a few turns, assuming you heal it. If you don't heal it, it's basically out of the game. It's going to get him one attack and then it's toast. So this was just weird positioning. Like, why did our blue player do this? They follow up the spider that I like, but this exposes it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. Like, that's a lot of damage. It's just an enormous amount. I don't see the reason to expose it. Pull it back here, and then you get hit by, like, 2 things instead. It's a very weird position to go for this. I'm not sure why they did this. So in the meantime, we see a repositioning from Beauty, which means, okay, it's going to get healed. I was about to say it's going to die anyway. Is Bees online? Bees is not online. And we get a little bit of splash action. Now, I would not have gone for that. I think you kill the Gin Sting unless this is going to die from the fire. This is not going to die from the fire. Oof. Yeah, I don't know about that one. I think you kill the Gin Sting. I mean, I guess it's roughly the same amount of damage this turn because I think Meatball was online, but I think you go for the Gin Sting and spread some damage to the Cyclops as well. Instead, this Hevo is going to take a pounding, almost dies, and in fact does eat it. That's 2 placement errors that, honestly, if I was our blue player, after the Beauty one, I probably would have been tilting. After the Hevo loss, I'm out of this game. I mean, you're out of the game anyway, but, like, I would have been tilting off the face of the planet. So we see a line attack. It doesn't actually take anything down, which feels brutal. The spider just walks up and bites something. This is a horrendous position to be in. And we see the Baba Haha follow-up. For that inside joke, you may want to join the Random Thoughts Discord. But Baba Yaga shows up, and it eats up the remaining keys of our blue player. We see a trap go down. You can kind of expect the Cyclops invasion. But this is just brutal. Honestly, you have to... The initial statement made by Onda when they submitted the game is true. You do have to supplement, protect, guard, escort, however you want to look at it. Your big Baba Haha finally appears. Yep. You have to protect your big phobies. It's an enormous investment. They can do a lot of work, but a lot of them are bullies. They need to have that advantageous position, and then they just push you through to the finish line. Sometimes they can pull you out of a hole as well, of course. But in this case, we just saw 2 rather egregious positioning errors that ended up costing our blue player the game. The first one with the Beauty just absolutely didn't need to happen. And although the Beauty didn't go down, it was effectively dead. It was irrelevant for the rest of the game. And the Hevo, similarly, didn't really do much. I mean, look at the heart damage. I mean, yes, our orange player was able to cap a bunch of points. But, like, this isn't... It's not as though the blue player was pressing a huge advantage the whole time or something, and then fell by the wayside because they made a positioning error. It just felt like they didn't do a lot. It very much was a game of, I'm going to rely on my big stuff, and I'm just going to bully you, and that's going to be enough. But it wasn't enough. So, between Snowball, and Muffins, and Spiders, and Cyclops, Clinicos, and all these other monstrosities, Baba here is having a bad time. Blue player's having a bad time. And we're going to see a takedown by Onda. So, GG Onda, well played. But yes, I absolutely agree with the assessment. You got to protect those big phobies. You need some help. So thank you for submitting this game, and as always, if you're interested in getting your own games on stream or on YouTube so we can do a breakdown, head on over to the Random Slots Discord in the description. Not bad, not bad. It's a pretty solid game. Did you know Pringles aren't made from solid potato cuts? They're cut from a potato slurry. That seems logical. I didn't know that, Atona, but based on my experience with Pringles, I could absolutely see that being the case. That absolutely seems like that would be the case. Hey, Hyper, we just were looking at your game. And who wanted the Phobopolis game? Because you did this to us. What are we going to open here? This is another Raining Worms map. You can see the worms as they drop down. Like, whoop. Or not. Like, one's here, one's there. Trying to catch them. There's one there. So we see the Murder Wing. How are you going to supplement it? With a cat. Fair. Phobopolis map, good luck? Yeah. Good luck is right. So we're going to go with our own Murder Wing. It's my only cheap flyer. I don't have a Maggie or anything like that. They should not be able to kill it. I don't see how they can threaten it. And we'll go with a Cassowary. Take ours. As far as middle points go, they can immediately cap this. So here's the problem. They take this middle point, and we can't really get rid of them right away, because the Murder Wing can't reach. This can reach, but it's not going to be able to do enough damage. So we're in somewhat of a weird spot here. Do we want a 6? If we go to 6, then that means 6, 11, 7. We could do a 4 next turn. I think we just get more board presence. So the idea here is that the cat could back cap the Murder Wing position. I think your Murder Wing can't hit a phobia in the middle panic point. That's correct. That is correct. You want 6 for Crushmore? True. I want to use Crushmore, but it's level 3. Like, what am I going to do with a level 3 Crushmore? It feels like it's just not doing enough. Where is it? Like, this is pretty low on the damage count. My Stabby is better than this. I don't think the Lob is quite worth it for me right now. Maybe. Like, we could get it here to help defend this. The supplemental Gesundheit here. Like, I just skips over my comments. Well, yeah, it's you, Doc. I like to cap with Cat and have Cassowary able to strike the center. I mean, you're talking, like, cap this and then move Cassowary up further? So it would have been 1, 2, 1, 2. So it would have been here? I mean, we can hit it with Cassowary anyway. The problem with Cat here is that we can't cap the center. Do we want Jar? I mean, if we want Jar, we don't want it there, right? I guess this is okay. I want to get Pterodactyl online so we have more mobility. I'm using my level 3 K9. It does its job. I guess. I mean, it might be fine. I really should just force the Crushmore in one of these games. It just feels like it's so under-leveled that I can't use it. I don't know. Where it is now, I put a turn 1. Gotcha. I mean, that's fine. Yeah, it would allow a leap onto it. Like, that makes sense, Doc. That makes sense. Your level 3 Mount Crush more damage. It's like a level 7 Hevo damage. Really? Like, Hevo 1.0 has only 400 damage at level 7? That's interesting. Speak of the devil, there's Hevo. If we get this out of here, we'll trade this. Or get that set up anyway. We'll get the pterodactyl online. So this threatens this Gesundheit. Clearly this is going to die. I just don't know what they put on the point to recap it. Yeah, Hevo is level 9, does 432 damage. Interesting. Starts at 350, wow. Most of the Hevos I've seen are, like, this is a level 6 Hevo. Yeah, it is significantly higher. I didn't realize how much higher it was. I mean, I guess Hevo, I'm curious what the hit points are like on that. Like, is Hevo way tankier? This is 2100 at level 6. This is 18 at level 3. Somewhat comparable, I guess. There's a Jin Sting. So this could, if they put a jar, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, they could hit this spot. So if we go here, they could hit it with this. Like, I don't know that this free shot on this Hevo does anything for us. They can't counter kill the jar right now. There's no way they can get to it. I don't know that hitting it does anything for us, though. If we bank the other keys... I don't know. I don't really like this. I think we just wait. I don't see a reason to like, poking it doesn't do anything for us, I don't think. I don't know. You're about to be very angry about the jar? What were you thinking, Doc? Like, he didn't have the damage to kill the jar. Yeah, all mechanicals are, as far as I know, there might be an exception, but most of them have extra HP. Whew. It's tougher to get out than I thought it would be. Never mind, Stabby can't move too. True. That is true. I mean, maybe we should have poked it. I don't know. I don't know. So that Gravedigger represents a fairly moderate threat. So this can move here. It does 6. We'll say 8, 14. 19, then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So they could kill this fairly trivially if they have a droney. Like, a droney would be bad. We need to get something small to help recap this center point. They break this. Alternatively, they could walk... Like, they might be trying to set this up to wall us off here. I kind of doubt that, but it's possible. Maybe we do get our Crushmore online. So, they could hit it with this. They break this, move in. We're gonna back off the murder wing. Reason being is they could break this block, move up Stabby and Hevo, and then blow up the murder wing for freezies. What's going on, Jelly? How you doing? I'm doing alright. We're trying out the new map here. This is the first time I'm on it this season, at the very least. Yeah, get a little Crushmore action going. I've started to just accept that if I have more panic points in my opponent, I'm not sure what my opponent is doing. I strengthen my defenses or bank keys. That's basically it, Doc, for a lot of scenarios. I mean, when you're ahead, you don't want to throw it away. There's an argument when you're ahead, get more ahead. But invasions and phobies can be very dangerous. Gotta show some love to your Mount Crushmore? Exactly. Gotta love the Crushmore. Alright, so what are we doing here? If you don't break it this turn, then they are absolutely putting this obstacle down. They'll have to do the great rearranging of their forces here. That's an Allosaur. Ugh, that's not great. Got a late night barbecue? Nice! Nice! What are you grilling up in there, Jelly? What do you got going? I go for some late night barbecue. You know, I'm not an actual fan of barbecue sauce, but I like barbecue. Like, I like barbecue food. But barbecue sauce is not my thing, typically. I also don't like buffalo sauce, which... Not that... Well, I guess it's a while ago now. It feels like the 2010 to 2015 era was like... Everybody I knew was all about buffalo sauce, and I'm like... Poor K. Like, is that really what we need? This is 1500. Oh, we never hit this? We could kill this. And we get hit for 8. And 4 is 12. 5 is 17. We should tank this. Maybe not. So if we could pop this, but I don't know. We gotta be concerned about this Allosaur. I'm a little worried. I think we pulled... If you're here, 1, 2, 1, 2. You could be here. You could be here. These cover that. Like, do we go erratic here and just say, okay, you have everything clumped, I'm just gonna annihilate them? I kind of want to go Spider. We'll go Spider and then just yoink something and incinerate it. He said, hopefully. Now we do have... Like, this might be okay. This might be okay. I love Mount. He's insane when you upgrade him. Yeah, I just haven't gotten many upgrades. We might have gotten one upgrade through the Jacks earlier today, now that I think about it, though. Crushmore. He's stone. He crush things. He picks things up and he puts them down. Let's just recognize how good of a name Mount Crushmore is. It's true. It's true. You just hate moistness? I assume that was in relation to the barbecue sauce thing, Atona? I'm not quite sure. But no, I typically do not enjoy being moist. As evidenced by how I'm dying here in this humidity right now. But, you know. I like the Crushmore idle animation. True. Yeah, it's actually, like, the Crushmore... The idle animations are a very... I don't want to say underrated, because I think most people love them. But there are some phobies that just have awesome idols. He's just a dummy tank. So the key here is to not go in with the Spider and then immediately lose the Spider, because that would be pointless. And the problem is, I think that's the threat here. We might have had to dive and kill this last turn in order to make the spider valuable, or we send the spider to here. Because, like, being here, we don't even kill it. The spider actually was not good. The spider kind of does nothing for us. Is this back online? Where's this? Okay, so they don't have the break online yet. They could hit us with this, this, and this. Or alternatively, a lob, but it would be this. So 4, 8, 13. Like, they might be able to dive, but if they do, I think we blow everything up in return. Now, they banked to 12. We should be able to yoink the stabby safely. Problem is, it's like, if they dive the spider, this could be really bad. I think we threaten it. I think we threaten it. We can likely blow up the Alistor if they dive with it, and that's going to be necessary in order for them to do this. Actually, no, it's not. They can go in with Gin Sting. So they commit with Stabby, Alistor, Gin Sting, and Murder Wing. And they get it. And then I don't know that we have enough damage to really fend them off. Now, they're diving pretty deep here, so we can just pop out a ranged Phobie and tag the Gin Sting. But, like, the Alistor is the big threat here. And they need that in order to do this. First time I see Batchel attack animation, I'm amazed his wing is so big. Yeah, it's... I've said it before, but the art team for Phobies did a spectacular job. The art team, I don't know who was on the art team, or, like, how they came up with the ideas for a lot of these Phobies, but it's just incredible. Alright, so they sniped the Cassowary for freezies. That's kind of a womp-womp moment. You love Kaboom's animation? It's very satisfying, I'll give you that. So the Alistor can't snipe the jar as long as we don't tag the Stabby, I think. Looks so badass. No, come on. Kaboom? Kaboom's the middle one, isn't it? Doesn't it do like over 1,000 damage? The level 3 one does like 1,600 or something, I think. The littlest one still does like 600. It's still a big amount of damage. Yeah, we should have set up something to hit the cluster here. So we'll soften these guys up. Our opponent still has 12 keys, which worries me. It's a little dangerous putting this here, but I just don't see a way that they can actually kill this. Now, the problem is they can invade for a good amount. Like, I want to wait, but if we wait, I think we're in trouble. I think we're in trouble if we wait. First, like, wait for them to spawn something and then we counter it. The 2 key is boom and he pushes back as well. Yeah. Kaboom's the ultra rare one, right? So yeah, they shouldn't have had enough damage to do this. I didn't think they would. The problem is that this thing is basically dead. Like, we're not in great shape, chat. They still have 12 keys left. We invested a lot in this Hevo, and I don't know that we can do what we need to do here. Our opponent still has a sizable board position, and they can follow up with a lot of stuff. Even if they don't go a big phobie that we're scared of, it could just be multiple small phobies, or, you know, just medium-sized ones, whatever. This isn't as big of an alligator as we saw earlier, but it's still sizable enough that it's threatening. And we don't have enough keys in order to get a Clinico to heal this stupid Hevo, but I guess you can't have everything. I don't think we can kill this Alistor. Game, please. Okay, we can. I didn't think that was going to work. So, are bees online? Bees are online, so that means this is going to die. No, game, stop. We'll trade the Murder Wing there. We'll do this. That'll let us kill their Hevo. The Murder Wing's not going to die. They have Meatball. This can't hit us. Well, actually, it could. So 4. So we'll say 5, 10. They could kill the Pterodactyl here, hypothetically. I don't think they can actually get it, though. I don't think they can. I wanted to spawn another 2-key this turn, but I just ran out of time. Yeah, I don't think they have enough damage to kill it and then actually stand on it. Yeah, everybody keeps talking about Akira. I think I've seen it in a screenshot and that's it. We get a little bees. We get the elimination on the Crushmore because they're going to meatball here, obviously. But these two are grouped now. Well, it doesn't matter. That dies from the Crushmore, so there you go. Well, these are grouped now. Our opponent is hell-bent on demolishing the entire map. They've now crushed a whole bunch of these things. This is a bold move there. That's a bold move, Cotton. Like, what is this gator doing? I'm a little concerned, I'm not gonna lie. If I still got the screenshot, I didn't have it. It was in the main Phobies Discord. Like, somebody had just posted it. Because it was either one of those, like, what the hell is this thing? Or, oh my god, I finally saw this. You know, something like that. Technically, all the Dimensional have a pull ability, but it's passive and requires sacrifice. See, that's thinking, DT. It's true. Well, I haven't seen Akira, but I have Heartbreaker. He's good in a group. Heartbreaker's pretty good. I've heard some good things. So our opponent's now out of keys all of a sudden. Probably don't want the spider up there. We just do this. I keep forgetting the alligators down here. I'm like, where is the rest of their army? Oh yeah, they have an alligator that's down here for no reason. We're only doing like 200 damage with the poison, so it seems kind of silly. We're just gonna ignore the alligator. Like, is it gonna go face? I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow. So this can hit it. This can hit it. And that's it, but they can each only hit it once, so who cares? Use sucky? Ah, I always forget. I do have a bunch of sucky level ups that I need to implement. I think Alleygator's trying to hit your heart. I mean, it is possible. It is an option, I guess. I don't think that's going to work out for him, but it is an option. Sad Gator got ignored, but kind of funny. Yeah, my man's all lonely down here. It's like, come on! I just want to play! Guys! I mean, they capped a bunch of points, but we have 8,100 health. How much damage are we taking this turn? 600? We have a few turns of taking 600 damage before it matters. So we tag this. Tag this. Hit it again. I think we actually kill it this turn. Because the fire should get it with this. No, it won't. Oh, no. Not like this. So this is just going to stand on the point so that way they can't recap the point. I mean, they could move up and kill it, but that will pull it into range so that we blow it up. Arguably, we could have pulled the spider with Moffat instead, but I think this is more important. This should be GG. It should be GG. I agree with chat. But we've thrown better positions than this before. Alright, they're coming back with the Gator. I was going to say, like, if they put the Gator here, it would actually be somewhat annoying to dislodge, simply because we can't, like, stand anywhere on the other side and lob to it with Hevo. We'd have to, like, actually go in. No, I didn't yet, Alpaca. I was going to do that after the stream. What's the best way to kill this? I guess you just do this. Do this. We can't quite burn it down this turn, but we'll be able to run it down. Or we should, I hope. Hold on. We're definitely doing this, right? I want to get the spider into range so that there's less of a chance of this thing somehow dodging us. So we do this. They can't kill the spider, so this means it's on top of it, so no matter what, it'll be able to pull it back. I think that's better. Because we're taking 1,100 a turn. Like, we won't live that long. That being said, we could go cap 4 of the points this turn, so maybe it doesn't matter. Hold on, if we go... Where were we? We were here. We pull. I don't know that we can kill it. If we can't, we'll just cap all the points. Is there any way we kill it? I don't think there's any position where we kill it, so we're just going to cap all the points. They can't actually push any damage on us at this stage. Like, we're body blocking all of their avenues to our heart. They're not going to be able to recap anything. They have to invade on us. And obviously, we can just yoink. In fact, I think I can just no, we can't quite body block this. Or can we? So we can do this, and they literally just can't get through. And now we have time to run everybody down here. And now we just go through the motions. Stop overthinking. Well, the thing is we could have lost this game. If I spent time chasing them instead of capping these points, they could kill us. Like, it is possible. So basically, we just have to make sure that they never recap a point, and it's fine. Like, they'll walk around a bunch, and that's it. Or we're gonna pin them in here. I guess what we should have done is put the Hevo here. Yeah, hold on. We just want the Hevo to not get hit twice, so that it doesn't die. And this means we've trapped the Alleygator, because the Alleygator cannot kill the spider. And it can't kill the jar, so everything's in range now. Plus, I mean, they're down to 2,000 health. GG. I thought we were losing that one, chat. I honestly thought we were losing that one. It was looking dicey, but we were able to collapse on a few units in this center point. So for everybody who's looking for that Phobopolis game, there you go. There you go. I don't even know if we have enough damage to kill this thing this turn. Yes, we do. We, in fact, do have enough damage. GG! We'll take that one. We take that one. You're right, it's better to overthink than be impulsive and lose like a clown. I mean, that's part of it, but it's also I'm streaming, so, like, I can't just go through, like, just silently click on stuff, and you can hear my keyboard going and my mouse, and, like, that's not an entertaining stream. Gotta play it up for the stream a little bit, right? But GG. GG. Alright, so chat, I gotta update the starting MMR, because we're now at 3050. Not 3400, oh god. Whoop. I meant to put 3040, but I think I'm gonna call it a night. We ended up +1. We ended up +1, because we started out 2-0, went 0-2, and then we won that last one. We got the first win on Phobopolis, and we got a bunch of game reviews in, so that was pretty good. That was a pretty long game. I expect a lot of those matches are going to be fairly long on that map. It's a little weird. It's a little weird. I don't think I like it, but we'll see if it grows on me. I don't immediately hate it. There's certain maps like Lights Out. Hate that map. Just hate that map. It's just uncomfortable. There was one other one in the last rotation that I can't remember. God, what was it? I mean, I don't like Scoposium. I don't hate it. I just don't like it. But, yeah. I think that's actually, talking about Scoposium, that might be a good Alleygator map. As always, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And Black Lives Matter.